So Ian Wright has spent some time in the company of Arsene Wenger, and he thinks he looks tired. Looks a bit rough around the edges, and feels that this means that he will leave Arsenal at the end of the season. Arsene Wenger has hit back and said, if he looks tired, it's because he gets up really early in the morning. A question I want to pose to the panel is, with his contract up this summer, should Arsenal look to renew with Arsene Wenger? I think there's talk of a 2-year extension maybe being on the...
Ask Gary Neville.
Ask Gary Neville. Well, ask Arsenal fan TV. I think we know the general... I think, James, it looks from the outside like the groundswell is growing towards Arsenal fans would prefer to see the back of Arsene Wenger. Where do you stand? If you were an Arsenal fan, or if you were just put into the situation where you could choose what happens, what would you do?
So when I came to Bull Street, I was completely oblivious to this, like...
Premier League.
This Arsenal, this Arsenal, well, I guess Arsenal Fan TV and some of the feelings towards Arsene Wenger. And I would get into like discussion with Robbie going, are you mad? Like, this guy's like, you're getting in a mood because you finished in third. But I kind of get it. I do kind of get it now. And should he have his contract renewed? In terms of, if you look at it objectively and just where they're finishing, there's no reason why you shouldn't. But the atmosphere, the way it is at Arsenal right now, I don't think you should give him a contract because, for better or for worse, it's a bit poisonous. It feels poisonous, and it's not working. It doesn't. There's not that goodwill towards the manager, and therefore, for better or for worse, I don't think they should.
It's interesting, Barry, because I was having a conversation with my dad, and he was talking about the social media side of things, and how he was saying like he'd find it. The thing he hates about it is that when you've got, because of social media, you've got people's opinions are blown up, you know what I mean? So I guess you could make the case that it looks like that there's a groundswell of movement towards anti-Arsene Wenger, but also, as we know from social media, often it's the people with the most extreme views who sound the loudest, even though they're not necessarily in the majority. I get James's point. You know, I get both sides of it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, but I think both of us, Liverpool and Everton fans, would take a bit of consistent top four, wouldn't we? You know what I mean? I think almost especially you guys, would be all over that. You know, no,
of course we would, yeah.
So where do you stand on it?
It's exactly like James said. When you look at it, just at their league position every single year, 20 years I think now, the top four, year after year after year. He's won 2 FA Cups recently.
His average league position is like 2.75 or something.
So he's always up there.
That's like what, first in the first half of the first 10 years, and then fourth in the second. Yeah.
But he's had that. He has took that club on, hasn't he? So I suppose you're looking at it on the outside saying, why would they want change? They're always up there. You know, be careful what you wish for, which is what you hear of. But I suppose, from an Arsenal point of view, and this could be 5% of the Arsenal fans want him gone and 95% want him to stay, because we're from up north, so we don't know. All we see is I watch Arsenal fan TV when they've lost, because some of the reactions are incredible. But I think, but they are, aren't they? They are. But I think if you look at it, I suppose, and break it down into what he's bringing now, every year seems to be the same. They start off brilliantly. I'd done a thing with Robbie before we played Arsenal in December, and he asked me, could Arsenal win the league? And I was like, yeah, because they were flying. You know, when we ended up beating them that night, and since then they lost to City, and then it went a bit downhill. But they kind of do this every year. They're brilliant, and when they're on song, they're still, for me, the best football side to watch. They're absolutely brilliant. But they always kind of blow up around this February, March. And I just wonder, from Arsene Wenger point of view, and probably Arsenal fans, what can he do to change that? Because it's not like it's happened for a couple of seasons. This is year after year now. And I suppose if you keep going down that journey every year, it gets to a point where you just think, I want to see something different now. It comes
to the point where I think the excuses have often been the personnel, like they've not gone and spent big money, because Wenger did. I don't think he should be underestimated, the job he did in keeping them where they were while they were paying back a stadium, adapting to a new stadium as well. You only have to look at West Ham to see how badly tits up that can go, And but now he's got the funds to buy in top quality players. He's got a couple of world class players at least in that side. He's got loads of depth in all the key positions, pretty much. Sort of the goalkeeping situation now, largely sort of the centre midfield, sort of the goals. If we can't do it this season, have we just seen the ceiling of what Arsene Wenger...
Has he sorted the centre-backs out?
Do you rate
they're a damn sight better than they were
Shelby's
last year.
brilliant, but
Mustafi is all right.
Mustafi's done well.
He's all right. Look, mate, I'm going to echo what Baz and what James has said in that if he's consistently finishing top 4, that's brilliant. And I'm sure, I mean, I'd probably take consistently finishing top 4, but for 10 years, you're talking about building your team and what you have. You would expect to kick on, wouldn't you? You would expect how much building can you seriously have before you mount a serious title challenge. There has to be some kind of progression. Finishing top 4 is magical, and I really hope as a Man United fan we finish top 4 this year. I would take it, of course I would. At the start of the season, if someone said to me yes to take it, but as an Arsenal fan, yeah, I have to see their point of view in that we haven't gone anywhere, we haven't progressed. We at least make an attempt to challenge for the title. I mean, last year, look at Leicester. We sat here last year and we asked Robbie, what would you think would be a good finish to the year? And it was the start of January, and I was saying to Rob, and he said, well, we want to win the league, and I said, you need to go and buy a striker. You've got the money to do it. Go and buy a world-class striker. And he said, we won't do it because Wenger's too proud. He wants to do it without it. And his pride has now got in the way to the point where he's not going to go any further with the club. Personally, in my opinion, I'm with this side of thanks for the memories, Arsene, but it's time to go.
The thing is, though, you've only got to look at Man United and the post-Alex Ferguson era. There's every chance Man United, if Man United go another season outside the top 4, that's, we're testament to that. It's very difficult to get yourselves back into that, considering how many good teams there are with financial backing at the top end of the league. This is the thing with Arsenal for me is you pick the number, but you're playing pontoon or whatever. I think they're on 17 or 18, and they want to twist to make sure that got an aim for 21.
Yeah.
Odds are you're not going to win. You're not going to win on a hand of 17, but they're in a good, solid position. Most people would be envious of that. But if you want to hit the pinnacle of football, which is if you're going to compete at that level, what's the point of not? Then they do have to take that gamble. But there's every chance
they've
they
got
go
2 or 3
completely.
world-class players, but if you look at the rest of the squad, it's mediocre.
If they change manager and it doesn't fit, they've got that rebound year like you had with the Moyes stuff.
Yeah.
And there's every chance that he's so imprinted in that club. How do you? No one knows quite. Probably you won't realise how much Arsene Wenger is in that football club till you take him out of it. He's the fucking emperor of Arsenal.
But what's the alternative? Just wait until he dies. Do you know what I mean? Just keep
No.
There has to be.
He's got to go before he dies.
But there has to be. There has to be an end game. There has to be an end point. There has to be a point where Wenger goes, okay, I'm here for 30 years, 40 years. At what point do you go? I have to walk away now. I mean, he's been. I don't think he's your best manager of all time, but there has to be, like Ferguson to be United. I've been here for X amount of years now. It's time to go. You know what I mean? It's time to move on.
The problem, if I was Arsene Wenger, I just feel sapped of energy. He's completely cornered because every single year, and I said this on a social club in November, they'd been on a great run. And I said it's not even about now with the fans. It's when you get to January and you draw against Swansea or someone like that, and then there's that reaction is so violent. It's a cycle that keeps happening. It's self-perpetuating, and you need to.
But whose fault is that? If he had the results,
to a point, it is his fault. To a point, it's Arsenal fans' fault as well.
Yeah.
But you also got to understand the frustration. If Everton, what's a good season for Everton this year? Why would you be like, yeah, I'm happy with that?
I want us to get into Europe, but if we finish where we are, then I'd go right. Okay, we were at 10th, 11th last year, 7th. Okay.
So there you go. So if you had a manager for 10 years on the trot, you finished 9th or 10th
for 10 years,
you get to a point where you're
of course, yeah.
And there's 2 ways. The fans can either give you energy as a club and as players, or it can sap it, and it saps it.
The other question is, and Liam, he made a really good point, which again, Liam,
someone write that down.
Must have been that coffee you made. No, I think you're building towards. It's not like he's had to wait for money to come in, or he's getting 2 or 3 players in, and we're going on this journey. I suppose you're looking if they were Champions League semi-finalists regularly, you'd be saying you just need that one to get him over the line. But I suppose the tiredness.
He probably thinks though that he's.
Well, he will do because he isn't that far off though, is he? If you look at it, he probably isn't that far off.
But
however, look at
Conte. For 10 years.
Conte's come in. Chelsea were 10th, were they last year, or something ridiculous like that. He's come in and they're waltzing the league. They're walking away with it, aren't they? And I suppose the bigger question for Arsenal is who they can bring in. Seen Rafa Benitez mentioned, Thomas Tuchel is one who I wanted at Everton 3 years ago before Martinez. He would be the one for Arsenal because I think he would transform them.
The only one I think who's out there, maybe it's Simeone, I think, is the only one of the big ones who hasn't
Would he
had
get
the
him?
move yet.
Is he?
Well, maybe, but
Because of all his
mainly
other
just
stuff.
because of, the problem Arsenal have got is they've got a great brand of football, and this is where clubs always struggle with this. Is because where do you go from there?
Identity,
You've either got to go, do you go more attacking? But they need to find a brand of football that puts a bit of steel back into that
I think
side.
that was United's problem for 2 years under Moyes, that we lost our identity.
That's what our problem
really was, yeah.
we had, you know, and in fact, Everton were the best example of it. It's all right when you're a defensive team under Moyes. Martinez can come in and go, run free, boys, run free, play football, smile, you know,
don't defend.
pat children
No
on
need
the
to
head,
defend.
love one another, but then it goes tits up when you've not got that. And this is where we talk about Benitez off camera. Benitez going to Real Madrid, defensive manager. Arsenal would fucking hate Rafa Benitez, hate him, because he'll go in there and they'll be playing boring
1-0 to
football.
the Arsenal
Exactly,
again,
1-0 and all that, and they won't be able to stand.
But what
it.
if he wins them the league?
He won't win them the league because they won't give him the time to win them the league. And
That's another thing. Do they want them another manager?
Could he
to
not
come
go in
with
and Conte
longevity?
in his first season?
Maybe.
So that's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
He'd have to deliver,
don't forget,
wouldn't
what Conte's got going for him is he's a lunatic who runs
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
down the line as well. He's dead entertaining,
Yeah, yeah.
and Benitez isn't that. You've got to buy into what Rafa's
Yeah,
trying
of course,
to
you
do,
have,
and
yeah.
Arsenal have too high an opinion of
That's what I'm
themselves.
saying, but Tuchel will probably be.
Maybe.
Simeone's the one, but I just think
I think
Arsenal,
Tuchel's a better shout.
Arsenal have got that you know, gentleman club about them and everything else, elegance and all that. Simeone's a loon, and he plays on the edge. I'm not sure whether they would buy into that.
Here's the thing, though. You know, I said this is the thing with Liverpool is, yeah, if we were fourth every single season because of the history, which often bloody weighs us down a bit too much and whatever, yeah, we would, I'd say, and we'd want for more. We wouldn't mind. I'd say I'd love 4 or 5 years of just competing in the Champions League and maybe getting to 16s, quarters, semis or whatever, having a good go of it. That'll be fine. Just to get no, it's terrible.
It's terrible who I support and what I have to go through.
But,
It'd
you
be
know,
great if we
if
just get the odd Champions League quarter final.
But I wouldn't. If you told me 20 years of just that,
James,
Liverpool
I feel
want to
your
move
pain.
on.
I feel your pain.
Sorry,
But
I'm sorry.
but equally again,
I
I'm
do
not on
see
the
what
flip
I
side.
do see what you're saying though. There has to be progression. At some point, you have to go. After 10 years of doing exactly the same thing and finishing the same league position, and you've got excuses of we got to build a stadium. The team's in transition. I've had injuries. Blah blah fucking blah. Stop making excuses and start moving the club forward.
F-bombs getting thrown in left, right, and centre there.
For sake of emphasis, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone's watched the Ball Street FC versus Crazy FC game, just watch out for Liam's appearance on ref cam.
Right. I thought you were going to talk about Chris's speech.
So did I.
Yeah, also Chris's speech, which is the swearingest thing in the history of swearing.
I went to Craig, who edited it. Can we beep the swearing? And he went, if you tell me to fuck off, basically. Yeah, exactly.
Like someone's flatline. Like I say, I think the thing with Arsenal, for me, and it's just my opinion, if they can find someone, if Simeone's interested, if Tuchel's interested, whatever, if sort of a top quality manager can be lined up, go and get him. And yeah, you know what, have a spin, because it's you're stacking the odds more in your favour.
At what capacity
Whereas
should
if
Wenger be
can't-
involved in that?
Sorry, Liam, if they can't, then keep Wenger for another couple of years, because, again, I think these next 2 years are going to be vital for the next 10 years of the Premier League, because, again, Man United are going to be doing everything to get back in the top four if they don't make it this season. Liverpool are going to be doing everything to get back in there.
Yeah.
Spurs, it's so competitive that I don't think you can afford to make it, to fuck it up now, basically. And Arsenal could find themselves entering into the wilderness at a point where the money's the most it's ever going to be, and they could find themselves that everything they've built up starts to slip away before they've really managed to establish themselves.
So you
Just
think
my
Wenger
opinion.
should stay?
Unless only if they can't find another absolute worldie of a manager who's prepared to come in and take the reins.
If that's the case, do you think Wenger should stay there in some capacity? Yeah. And should he have
No,
some...
God, no. If he goes, you've got to go. Look at you.
You don't want
Alex
Fergie
Ferguson
in the
sat in the
stands,
stand, looking down, sneering at bad football.
They've said that when Wenger goes, the whole structure will change, because he's... No one does it like that. Everyone else has a
They're
director
still
of
getting
football.
the scores from teletext, aren't
Exactly, yeah. Wenger runs it all. It's completely unique now, because it's been completely put out. Everyone else is a director of football, and they've said that they will put that in place with the next manager. But maybe that's part of the failings as well, because you've got a guy who you can't put anyone above him to create the structure that we know works in football now.
Yeah.
But in summary, yeah, Arsenal should renew Wenger's contract. Let us know your thoughts, Arsenal fans. If you've had your fill of Robbie duking it out with Gary Neville, let us know your thoughts on this in the comments below. And as mentioned, go check out Ball Street FC versus Creators FC, if only for A, Chris Pajak swearing, and B, Liam's pleasant conversation with the referee and also James's worldie. It's fine. Watch it, it's great.